Good afternoon, Asia. Good morning, Western world. And good evening, the Pacific. Today, for the first time, I'm going to introduce the idea of 11 days for the Earth's healing in public. A lot of my friends knows about it. A lot of people who are following us on social media and other places, they are maybe a little aware of it. But this is the first time we're having a conversation in this topic. And I've invited a friend of mine, Phil Malone from UK, to talk about this and having a candid conversation how we came up with this idea and what we expect the world to do during those 11 days. Um, Phil, welcome on conversation with me. We already have a multiple conversation on this topic over the phone, but for the first time, we're having it on a public forum. And I wanted people to see a Western perspective versus our perspective, Asian perspective, the how you see about it. When I told you for the first time about this idea of mine, I'm sure you would have your reactions. You must have reserved those reactions, assuming, oh, a friend, I don't want to disappoint a friend. So now today, maybe in public forum, we can talk about it that when I discussed first time with you, what crossed your mind?
Well, Zunaid, we have one thing in common. We both use video to try to reach rural people. In our
Yes, we do.
case, with Access Agriculture, we have a lot of farmer to farmer videos in local languages. And
Yeah.
these are farmers in what is sometimes called the global south. So farmers from Latin America, from Africa, and from Asia, each helping one another. So in India, for example, many videos in the Hindi language, some in the other languages from the different parts, like Bangla, Bengali, Marathi, Telugu, Tamil, etc. So when farmers are able to understand in their own language, then they
Yeah.
learn from each other. And what we try to do is to do something which is perhaps what you're talking about with the 11 days for Earth's healing. How do people normally learn? In the old days, it was if you were educated, you read a book from the library. Nowadays,
Yeah.
people have got the internet to help them. But if you're a farmer, normally you learn by looking and seeing what the other person is doing in their field, or maybe going to the
True.
market and having a discussion over a soda or a cup of tea. And then by having that discussion, you learn from that other person. So when you came up with this idea, I thought, we need to learn from each other. The world has to learn from what has hit it in the last year. With COVID, what has there been? A big disruption, but lots and lots of suffering. And the people who have suffered the most are those in remote areas, those who are the ones who are not at an economic advantage. So in our case,
True.
it tends to be the smallholder farmers who maybe have lost the chance to sell what they grow in the market. They may have
True.
lost the chance to be able to interact with people and to learn in the way that they would normally do. So how
True.
can we ensure that we don't just have a knowledge desert? We don't just have, in some areas where land has perhaps been over-farmed and farmed in the wrong way, a
True.
biodiversity desert. But with this COVID, where people have stopped traveling, where people have reduced the amount of commuting, where perhaps there is a chance for the earth to recover, we don't come back and do the same thing. We come back better. We come back caring for each other more. By caring for each other more, we care for the earth, we care for the environment. So those are the
Sure.
things that excited me and why I felt that this is something that really does need to be supported by people who care for each other and care for the earth.
So where I'm taking an additional leap on the thought. See, we both started interacting for the first time because of agriculture. We We had the similar liking, similar thoughts. But I realized this: we have to go beyond agriculture when we have to think of 11 days of the earth healing. The every individual human, it needs to get involved in it and take the responsibility of taking care of this earth, which we have not taken seriously in the past. Whatever reason it could be lack of knowledge, it could be lack of economical position to take stand on this kind of a situation. But I realized one thing: it needs intent. It does not need money, it does not need anything, it needs intent to do. uh, Problem is, at least when I talk about India or an Asian world, people are still not very savvy or not very clear-headed on this thought that what environmental problem could bring to them, what problem they may face in future, which maybe a Western world is well aware, or Western world is still taking some kind of a care on it. But still, they at the same time, Western world also abuses it a lot because they have a more traffic, more cars, more factories, more progress in that sense. If you say, we'll have to balance the world. It needs a balancing now. There is a balancing of population. There is a balancing of, as you rightly said, the resources of agriculture produce, which is coming, and overall ecological balance. So my basic thought was we have to start from the ground zero. We are right now, we cannot change the world. We'll have to start changing from the ground zero. A very basic ecological challenge where a small bird or a small insect also has some kind of a connection to our life. They may not directly interfering in our life, but they have the reason to exist. And it's our duty to nurture them and grow them. So beyond agriculture, when we are growing food, we also need to grow the birds, we also need to grow the animal, the small plants and the insects. Everything is important for our entire ecosystem. That that seriousness, or maybe that duty, feeling of the responsibility now we have to bring amongst all of us. That was my larger thought in it. So definitely what you rightly said, agriculture is important. Now I want to hear from you in terms of how people will react when you will tell them to, okay, don't drive for 11 days, don't fly for 11 days, don't do construction work for 11 days. How you think Western world or maybe any part of the world will react to this for the first reaction?
Okay, I think the thing is that you may not get everybody joining in because people each have different pressures. However, what are you trying to do? You're trying to raise awareness. If, for example, we look at the amazing religions we have around the world, many of them have been having special festivals for spring. So in India, for example, you've had the Holi festival. The Christian festival of Easter has been celebrated. The Jewish festival of Passover has been celebrated. And very shortly, next week, there will be in the Muslim world the holy month of Ramadan, which will be starting. So at the time of spring, every religion thinks about a new birth, a new beginning, new possibilities for people to care for each other and to care for this earth, which is being created by God. One of the main things is that you want to start the 11 days for Earth's healing on the 1st of May. We call that May Day. When you have May Day being shouted from a ship, that's a cry of help. So what are you doing? You're showing that the earth is crying out and is crying out, help. So what do we do when we hear a shout of help? We can turn our backs and let the ship sink, or we do whatever we can to help our sisters and our brothers. So if we can think of not just what's in it for me, but what is in it for the rest of the people who live in my village, the rest of the people who live in my district, the rest of the people who live in my city, who live in my province, live in my state, live in my country, live in my continent, live on this earth, then we're starting to think. And there's great opportunities in 2021. At the end of the year, there will be a huge conference in the UK looking at the whole issue of climate change. There's been a change in the US, where the new president believes that people need to do whatever they can to combat climate change and help to save the earth and do things in a better way. And wherever you can have leadership linked to local people, you can get action. Young people do not want to make the same mistakes that their elders have made. And young people are the ones who are driving the whole idea of thinking about looking after the earth in a better way. So we don't need to go down the plastic route. We don't need to go down the pesticide route. We can find ways where we can still grow food and we can still take care of the environment, take care of the water, and make sure we think about how to ensure we can care for each other. So those 11 days will start on May Day. You'll hear the cry of help. It's up to you to decide. Do you want to respond?
Yeah. So there is a one common question also which came across when I was discussing with people about 11 days. Oh, how people will work, how people will survive. There are daily wages worker. There are multiple other things who will suffer because of this close down. So I wanted to clear this air in the heads of a lot of people that we are not closing down like the way we had a COVID lockdown. It's not that you have to be locked inside your home. You're all allowed to do all other activities in your daily routine, daily life, except doing any such thing which creates carbon. So we are saying it's a carbon fasting in a good term. The way we our religion teaches us doing fasting. So this time we are going to do the fasting for all the elements of progress which we have got in our life, and we have got used to of this. Can we fast from those things which we have? We will not fly, we will not drive, we will not do construction. We can do a lot of other things, but still there is life will continue. That's number one. Number two, I also, because I come from a business background before I became a social entrepreneur, I come from a business background. So I also think like that. Why will I pay salary to my employee when he's not working for those 11 days? But thanks to COVID lockdown, 80% of us have learned to work from home. So you are not losing your work that way. We also have an opportunity that we can, next 3 years, we can start readjusting, realign our lifestyle around those 11 days. So we know, okay, fine, there's another festival in your life, which is a festival for nature. So, okay, we have to take holidays during those festivals, but that festival gives you flexibility of work or not work. At the same time, that festival gives you to celebrate without any religion, without any country, without any baggage. You are celebrating this festival with every creature on Mother Earth. You are celebrating with water, you're celebrating with animal, you are making this world more breathable for everyone. So that is much larger thought. Then again, we come to the usage of pesticide. Yes, we have to learn. But having said that, we also know the next 30 years, what will be the population of the world? Do we have enough food to feed them? Do we have, without pesticide, with the natural resources, will we be able to produce that much food for every human and every animal to feed? So those are the other larger issues which we are gonna face as soon as we will progress, we grow. But I realize, I believe in one thing: the moment we do our balancing of having every resources which nature has given us in its original shape, we may also able to fight with our biggest challenge, which is a food challenge, hunger challenge, which is coming our way. But we since we are in business of agriculture, now we understand that then maybe a common man who would be just sitting at home and he must be getting food from the store, but he doesn't know what's going to happen 20 years down the line or 10 years down the line. So yeah, as you rightly said about this, but my still question remains there, where people are coming back to my work, my life. Why will I stop my life? We are being selfish. How do we communicate, or how we get people to come back to this selfishness is going to kill us. This is not going to create problem for the entire next generation. We may not live 20 years down the line. We may not be there, but there is a whole generation who are going to live there. And it's our duty. We should do something for them. How do you see that part? How do we educate people or bring about people with this thought? Because you also come from a communication background. you would also be a person to help us on that.
Okay, one of the main things which has really changed in the last few years is that
Yeah.
in the past, people thought agriculture was growing commodities. Now,
Yep.
if we just think of commodity, that is a great way of producing waste. So you have
True.
waste because if the price is too low, the crop just stays in the field. If people aren't really bothered about the quality and getting paid on producing better quality, then everything just gets mixed together and there's a lot of waste in the warehouse and the rats have a nice time. If, though, we place a value on the hard work people put in, on making
Mm-hmm.
sure we don't waste food in the field, we don't waste food in the packaging and the processing, we don't waste
Mm-hmm.
food by buying too much for that big celebration where we want everybody there. We don't want people to feel that we're not hosting them in the nice way. But at the end of the day,
True.
there's a lot of wasted food which is just thrown away. That's not the way that we do things. The way we need to do things is to think of how can we make the best use of these resources so that we
True.
can share them. And it's not just things being done in a nice way for those who've got the big pockets, but things being done in a better way to
Mm-hmm.
encourage people who are many, many, many kilometers away from the seat of power, from the capital cities in our countries. The people who normally are the ones who are
Mm-hmm.
voiceless, the ones who
Okay.
don't have anything that can be heard, because they're not the ones always on the big TV stations in the city or the big radio stations with the big talk shows. The ones who perhaps don't
So
even
a friend
speak the
of mine
language of the
who
city,
was
that sort of thing.
a friend of mine who's commenting on Facebook right now and also reading about it, Mona Megavkar. She's also one of the person. She's very active with her voice and she does a lot of activism. She has a very strong points to make. I could not read all the points, but one point which she mentioned very clearly: you guys sitting in an air-conditioned room and talking about the change, and you don't even know what daily wages worker is going to do during this point of time. So I wanted to just answer her while in this discussion because she's live right now and she's listening to this conversation. Mona, I come from, as I said, I come from a business background and I also have seen that life which you're talking about. I myself have started my life as a street hawker about 30 years back. So I exactly know the pain of those people and during those 11 days, how things will function. Trust me, I've thought about everything before I came up with this idea about every individual. What will they do? How will they do their earning? How will they make money? How will the entire system will help the overall process? And during my conversation, I said, I want to create a celebration. I don't want to create sadness. You should look forward for this 11 days. Oh my God, the way Christmas is coming or the way Diwali is going to come. This time you'll wait for those 11 days to come. That, okay, fine, this days we are going to do a lot of great work. We're going to do happiness, we'll joy. We will also do party. But that party will be designed separately. That lifestyle will change drastically the way we see things. See, it's not going to happen overnight. This is the first time we are actually asking people to do something like this. Do you think the way you are talking to me, there are thousands and millions others who have said this? Are you an idiot? What are you talking about it? It's not possible. I said nothing is possible unless you really want to do it. And we have to create a situation. You can come up with the idea. Anybody can come with the idea of those 11 days how we can be more productive without doing driving, without flying, or maybe without doing any construction work. We can do still a lot of things. So it's not that it's not possible. The farming work will not stop. The way during even COVID lockdown, the farming never stopped because you can't stop eating. Your essential services like police and or ambulance or a medical service, those services can't be stopped. But still, there are a million other things which we can do during that point of time. And if you know about your holidays in advance, it's not sudden lockdown. If you know about your holidays in advance, 2 3 years 4 years, you slowly you start getting into that situation. then you'll do your planning in advance. You will know exactly, maybe this will give holiday to lot of people, especially India I'm talking about right now, because we started this from India. We don't take holidays. 90% of our population do not take holidays because maybe they can't afford it, or before this concept of holidays or concept of rest does not exist. We have to give rest to everybody. The
I
earth
think,
needs to get the
yeah, I
rest to
think
everybody.
one of the
So
things that,
please, Phil,
um,
you're saying something.
if you actually think of that word holiday,
Yeah.
what is the origin? The origin actually is holy day. So
Oh, is it?
if you actually want to really rest, you also have to have a time of reflection. Now, in many Asian religions, there is obviously meditation is very important. In some other
Yeah.
religions, time of silent prayer is
Yeah.
important. So just being able to appreciate what we have around us, what we can
Mm-hmm.
do to protect what is there, and what we can do
True.
to improve what is there. So if 11 days starts off with the call for help on May Day, and May Day, remember, is also International Day of Workers. So
True.
if you are a worker and you want to care about your fellow sisters and brothers who are workers, then
Yeah.
this is a great opportunity to think of what we can do for the following 10 days. And obviously, if you're from the Muslim religion, what we can do for the last part of Ramadan as we aim towards Eid. These are
Yeah.
things which will really help us to focus on what we can do to reflect on how we can make the environment around us a little bit better, not just for us, but for our sisters and our
For
brothers.
everyone. For everyone. That's the main important thing, that this is not about you and me. It's about us, and we all have to come to that thought of bringing us. There'll be a lot of questions will be raised by people while they will hear us talking, and I know there could be negative, positive, all kind of responses, and I want lot and lot people to get involved and have a come in conversation with us. This platform now I'm opening up for everybody from across the globe. Phil, I would also request, if you want to call your friends and you want to host this show, I will create a link and I will create this for you. Maybe you can call other friends of yours, you can have a conversation, understand the different mindset, how people are reacting to this. It's not going to easy to convince people to believe in something which is initially looks like, oh, after such a big lockdown of COVID lockdown, I have to go through another lockdown. Please come to this term. This is not lockdown. This is just a lifestyle change. We don't stop living. We will live, we will party, we will go out, we will do everything, but we will breathe fresh air. We will maybe have a better air, better water, and by doing this we will also help other creatures around us, other small things around us, to grow and nurture. That's our duty, that we have to communicate again and again and again, because advertising, I come from, again, advertising background, so I know I have to push this thought in the minds of people to believe in it. It will take time, but as I said, I will give you this opportunity. Please let you want to call other friends of yours, or people you want to host a webinar, or maybe an interview session like this. Please do that. That will be a great help, because you've been a mentor and support for me when I was starting this project. I first time I called you, Phil, I need your help. I want you to mentor me. I don't know how people will react to something like this. Also, in agriculture, the way you have developed the access agriculture, and the way you have reached out to world beyond your own space, I always admire you for your work, and I wish we do continue working the way we've been working to to growth of agriculture, which is that's also more important. As I said, apart from climate, people need to understand the food is going to be another big problem. The way the population is growing, we may not have enough food for everybody. Anyways, there is a hunger index across the world is anyways growing big. So it's our duty that the people who are listening to this conversation, it's not only about I'm rich and I can afford and I can buy food, but how much I can save for others if I don't waste it. As Phil also mentioned a minute back, that we should not waste food. Number one, number two, the other natural resources. Like maybe you can live without air condition in maybe 1 hour a day if you use 24 hours. At least do that. That's a small, but maybe there be contribution from you. This is the small contribution which will eventually turn into a movement. And you may not need air condition if your environment is good. You may not need air condition the way Mona mentioned right now. She's very specific about air conditioned room, that you guys are sitting in air conditioned room and giving all this talks, but the reality is something else. But Mona, just to tell you, because we work with agriculture, so we also know how things works on the ground. I myself have seen the world differently because I've grown from somewhere else. So definitely I'm not shooting in the thin air. I've thought about it and I'm talking about it. Phil, do you want to say something on a closing line? Because I don't want people to get bored of this longer conversation. We're almost close to 26 minutes of call. So if you want to say something on a closing line.
Well, I never thought I would see India's answer to Greta Thunberg, but now she is. Congratulations
Yes,
on
she
this
is.
idea. And may I just say, in UK, it's like 6 degrees outside, and the only reason I'm not outside is that there's a little bit of construction work going on at the moment. So we never have air conditioning in the UK. We just have to put on another jumper when it gets very cold. But I really do believe that what we try to do is not just stick with our common language at the moment of English, but to try to think of, in our case, something like 85 languages in which farmers can train other farmers and inspire other farmers, doing things in a way which respects agroecology and respects the environment. And so for this 11 days, the ARDEA Foundation has decided this is something which they should partner with as many people in as many countries as possible. So we, as Access Agriculture, would like to make sure we can do our bit with the partners that we have all around the world to ensure that for 11 days, we start off with May Day and we have 10 more days of reflection and action. Good luck.
So sweet of you. So sweet of you to say that. Thank you so very much, Phil, to say this. And I'm sure people who are listening to us, they will be more curious and they will throw a lot of questions to us. You can also answer some questions if you get to read them on any platform. And I'll urge everybody who is even little bit of concern about any of these issues which we have been discussing here, please come to us, please join us, please give your ideas, please criticize us. We want to change. This is not platform we cannot criticize. Yes, we can criticize each other, we can learn from each other. So come to that term that we are learning from each other, working towards a better goal and working for the better future and better new generation. I will close this line from here now. I will remind everybody again that 11 days of Earth's healing is starting from 1st May to 11th May every year. The date is specifically chosen, as Phil mentioned, it's starting with the Labor's Day. At the same time, across the globe, according to my knowledge and my information, usually it's a summer holiday time. So actually, we are using those holiday time for the holiday and not using your actual working time and day. Having said that, people can come with a different reaction, different thoughts, different ideas. All are welcome. And see you soon tomorrow, maybe with another interesting person on the similar conversation. Goodbye. Thank you so much. End of broadcast.